Welcome to episode 26 of the 5-Minute Creative Podcast. I'm Patrick Smith, and it's October 20th, 2020. And we've entered a new world officially. And I think a lot of people saw this coming, and it's been talked about for years. And it's just the digital acceleration or the digital transformation of business. And COVID accelerated this, and there was a stat at one point, in the last 5 months, we've accelerated 10 years worth of time in e-commerce and transitioning people to online. And it's starting to really hurt a lot of small businesses, and I'm starting to feel it on calls and in some meetings that I'm having, and for our clients or prospective clients, and just in general, and networking in general, and more specifically in the professional services. People that are selling, the CPAs, attorneys, people that sell insurance, any kind of loan or banking kind of financial services kind of world. Banks are going to be okay, but I think some of the smaller players in those worlds are going to start getting eaten up by fintech. And I think for the last maybe 5 or 6 years, we've been the frog in the boiling pot, and the water's been going up very slowly, and people can maybe feel it a little bit, but now all of a sudden it's here. So, and in the conversation I was having with a friend the other day, he was referencing his business, and he said 2020 has been a down year for everyone unless you're in the pizza delivery business, and that just kind of crystallizes the situation we're in. So in any event, I don't really have a magic bullet to help these small businesses, but I know there's 2 things that they need to do right away, at least to survive this next, little bit here for the next few years. And one thing I think a lot of these companies struggle with, for the most part, not all, but many, is they've just never had a brand. And that matters, especially in the digital space. And it doesn't need to be the best brand in the world, but it can't look like a 1970s brand in the digital world. So moving that story, that image, into something more contemporary that's customer focused versus being inward focused is a big deal. And I think a lot of companies just aren't there yet. So that's the first thing I think they need to fix. And that can happen relatively quick. And we're talking in a matter of a couple of months. It can. And then as quickly as humanly possible, as the ink is drying on your new brand story and your sales strategy, it is to pivot and turn your business into an online platform as quickly as humanly possible. Because the world is changing at a just breakneck speed. And I've only got a couple minutes here, and I might go over again by a minute or so, but I want to read some verbatims from an article that I was reading by Galloway. And this will kind of illustrate what's happening. And it's about AirBnB. So I'll read some verbatims here. So I believe this time next year, AirBnB will be the most valuable hospitality firm in the world and one of the world's 10 strongest brands. Now that's incredible. You've got companies out there, and I'll just read this. AirBnB has global supply boasting more than 7 million listings worldwide. That's more than Marriott, Hilton, Intercontinental Hotel Group, Wyndham, Hyatt combined. More impressive and singular, Airbnb is the only hospitality brand that has a global awareness to generate unrivaled demand. So, they have competition, I guess. There's VRBO, I think that's Vacation Rental by Owner, and they were already in the business, and Airbnb blew them away. There's a service that I've used in the past called Corporate Housing by Owner. And it's a website that's kind of a listings service, if you will. But the difference between Corporate Housing by Owner, which has been around, I'm guessing, for at least 10 years, they're not in your pocket in the way Airbnb is. Yes, they're online, but Airbnb is light years ahead of them. And that's what I'm trying to tell these businesses is you need to be as accessible as an Airbnb now. That's just the way the world's moved to, and it's kind of a jarring thing to tell people. So a few more stats here about Airbnb. In 2021, there will be more Airbnb users in the US than there are people in California, which is incredible. And in terms of search, Google searches reflect that Airbnb has eclipsed the equity of century-old brands. So all those hotel and hospitality brands, in one decade, they've already, in every market, big cities, small cities, they've already eclipsed them. And the chart that I'm looking at, in some instances, their searches outperform these hotel brands by 40 times. I mean, it's just incredible. So this is the punchline to this whole thing, and this is about their valuation. So how do you value a business like this? And I'm reading this verbatim from Galloway. What is the benchmark and what's the corresponding multiple? Airbnb is clearly not a hotel business, but it's not a software as a service firm either. However, Airbnb is a tech firm and highly disruptive. The firm has, this is another interesting point, the firm has a greater share of employees with an engineering background than Amazon or Uber, and so that is probably going to be their secret ingredient for the next 5 years or so, just to stay ultra hyper competitive and totally dominate. But anyway, this is the payoff here. Airbnb projects 2021 revenues of $5 to $6 billion, and that'll bring a potential $100 to $120 billion valuation. So there you go. That's why the world's changing. Airbnb has flipped the hospitality business upside down, inside out in 10 years. So small businesses need to pivot right away. So that's going to be all for this happy episode. And as we play this one out, I've been playing around with GarageBand, and I didn't realize there were all these tools in there that you could already start building songs. So I'm going to roll with a little bit of that on the way out. Thank you for listening. We'll have another one soon.